Hey everybody, this is Chris Stafford with the Max Show. That is Massive Abundance Exposed, where we expose the badass secrets of entrepreneurs all over the world. And we've got the coolest Australian dude, Jock Purtle, who has a business selling businesses. And my CPA background is coming out in me because I'm just fascinated that online entrepreneurs can sell their businesses. And I think that a lot of people don't realize that you can value your own business, especially if you have an online business, and then hit up Jock. He'll give you the evaluation and he can broker the deal for you. I mean, I just find this absolutely fascinating, and I hope that you do too. So I can't wait to talk to Jock, but before we do, make sure that you check into massiveabundanceinc.com, get yourself a free goodie. And without further ado, Mr. Jock Purtle. Hey everybody, you're not going to believe it. We have Jock Purtle in the house. How you doing, Jock?
I'm very well. Thank you very much, Chris.
Cool. Hey, thanks so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. You have such an interesting business, and I really want to get into what your business is all about because I really think that a lot of online entrepreneurs are going to find your business and yourself so fascinating. But first, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. You might have picked up the accent. You might not, but I'm Australian, from Sydney, live in Texas. Massive Roger Federer fan. Love my tennis. Um, what else?
Are you any good at
Uh,
tennis?
I'm above average.
Uh-huh.
I'm not gonna win the like A grade tennis tournament, but I can hit a ball over a net, and when someone returns it, I can get it back.
I love it. Good,
Um,
good, good, good.
yeah, so that's quick little background on me.
Cool. How long have you been in Texas?
I'm about to move there full time on Thursday, but I've been going back and forth between Australia and the US for the last 12 months.
Hmm. Cool. Well, Jack, you've got a fascinating business, and all of our viewers, especially the entrepreneurs that are going to be watching this, are going to be fascinated by your website, which I found really super, super cool, called digitalexits.com. We'll definitely have that in the show notes. But tell our viewers a little bit about what your business is, and you've really created sort of a niche for yourself.
Sure. Put simply, we help people buy and sell online businesses.
Hmm.
And what that means is we're really just a traditional business broker, but we focus on businesses that are 100% online,
Hmm.
and also businesses that use the majority of their marketing channels online, so click and mortar style businesses.
Got it.
So that's how we define the businesses that we sell.
Hmm.
So we majority of our work is on the sell side. So if you're looking to sell your e-commerce store that sells pillows, we assist you in finding a buyer for that business, and we get paid a success fee or commission based
Hmm.
on that. And then on the buy side, we help with deal identification and due diligence, and also valuations. So that's the business in a little nutshell.
Right, right. I mean, so this is really cool. So for people who have online businesses, and there are a lot of people watching the show that do, I think that's what's really your big takeaway from this is whether you're selling or not. And you definitely want to keep Jock in your stable, so to speak, because he can be a huge benefit to you in terms of how you're running your business. I mean, Jock, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to me that people who have an online business have a very difficult. Is it difficult to do the valuation on them? Like if I'm selling some kind of online product, how do I know what that valuation of my business is?
Sure.
Can you use that valuation, if you will, to improve your business efficiency, improve the economy of your business? Does that make sense?
Yeah. All right. So let's address the first question.
Hmm.
So valuation. I come from a traditional business valuation background. So one of the businesses that Dad owns is a valuation company. So they
Hmm.
value, or the company values, plant and machinery, real estate, and businesses.
Hmm.
So I'm used to doing the valuation on the restaurant or the valuation on the pest control company.
Mm-hmm.
And the difference between an online business valuation and let's say brick and mortar business valuation is there's probably one main differentiator, and that's the amount of goodwill that's evident or that's existing in an online business. So like your restaurant has hard assets that can be sold if the business fails. For example, like, they might be leasing, they might have paid for the stove to cook or the fridges or whatever. So there's some value there. So there's tangible value in the assets in the business. Whereas an online business is like pretty much all goodwill. So like, for example, your Google rankings, there's no real tangible resellable value in that. Your customer database technically does have a value. Like your marketing systems, it's a lot of intangibility. So the valuation methodology is different. So you normally use like I'm getting technical in accounting here. So you can go and Google all this stuff if you don't know about it.
Well, I'm also a CPA myself too, and typically, isn't it you just use the asset valuation? I mean, you take their assets, and that's how you value a company?
Yeah, you're probably going to use more like for an ongoing concern, you're going to use a discounted cash flow in a traditional business.
Okay.
So that's basically you're future projecting the profits of the business, and then you're discounting it based on the time value of money. So that's like a traditional valuation, whereas an online business valuation, you're purely going to be using a multiple of earnings. So if you've got a Pillow e-commerce store that's making $1 million gross and 150 net, then it's probably going to be like a 2 times multiplier on that 150 net. So the business is worth 300 grand. We're just using this as a rule of thumb. There's going to be some variables that are going to change the valuation, but that's the basic method.
Now, do you have to have a certain length of time that you have to be in business with this income valuation?
Sure. 2 years is 2 years is nice. You can get away with like a smaller time frame, but we found that like 3 to 4 years is the sweet spot in terms of confidence from a buyer. And then anything over 4 years is you're going to decrease the risk of for a buyer in the acquisition based on the past history of the business. So if you've got 7 years of consistently making $150,000 per year, logic says that you're probably going to continue to make $150,000 per year moving forward.
Right. This is interesting. I want to come back to the second part of my question but first I want to ask you, so you've got an online entrepreneur that's watching this right now. They're wondering what their business is valued at. Is this something that you help them with? Maybe you could describe your ideal customer and what would you do for that ideal customer?
So we find that the majority of our customers come to us when they've either sick of running the business, like, they've been running for 5 years and they're, I'm bored or I'm sick of it or I want a new challenge. Or they've come to the realization that they've hit the limits of their ability as with this particular business. Like they might be capping out at $1 million gross and 150 net, and they just can't push it any further.
Right.
So that's probably the first business owner is probably 70% of our clients. So they've probably started a new venture, or they bought another business, or there's another project in the works that they're more passionate about, they have more drive for, and like they don't want, they want to get the value of their equity in their current business because they know that if they let it slide, it's probably going to they're just not going to put the energy into it, and it's probably going to decrease in value as the time goes on.
And you help them with all this.
Yeah, so that's like the first process, like our lead magnet or our lead generation for our business is a free valuation. So, I'm thinking of selling. What's my business worth at the moment? We'll jump on the call. We'll probably spend like half an hour going through, 15 minutes to half an hour, just basic questions. Tell me about the business. How did it start? How old is it? What's the current sales? What's the growth trends? Where's your traffic coming from? What are the risks? What are your biggest competitors? What's the market going at the moment? What are your margins? Can you improve them? Basic stuff about your business. And then, I guess probably the unique selling point of us is that ability to just give a quick valuation on the fly. Like if, we talked about your pillow e-commerce store for the next 30 minutes, I'd probably give you a rough idea of what the offer for that business is going to be, just based on, all the deals that we've done in the past. I can give you a good idea on what someone's actually going to hand over some cash for your business.
Got it. That's interesting. Now, do people use, I guess one of the questions, coming back to that second part of my question, is, are people actually using your service to help them strengthen their business? Like, do you tell people, you need to work on this for the next 6 months and then sell your business?
So the deal cycle is generally 6 to 12 months. So I'll have someone, in a lot of cases, message me in July, for example, and say, look, I'm interested in selling. What's my business worth?
Right.
And then I'll say it's worth X, and they're like, I'm not really happy with that valuation. And I'm like, well, if you do X, Y, and Z, your valuation is going to increase. And then so they go away and do X, Y, and Z and come back, 6 months later, and either that's two things have happened. One, they've implemented what I've told them, and the business is better. Or two, they've done absolutely nothing. They're like, listen, I've done nothing. I'm just over it. Let's sell this thing.
Right.
So that's something that we're actually actively pursuing at the moment. So I've just partnered with an agency to actually do the hands-on implementation.
I see.
So the reason that the person that comes to me in July doesn't implement what I tell them is it's too hard, or I don't have time, or I don't have the right resources.
Right.
So basically, that's a value add that we will be including in our business, that we have available. We just put in place a partnership quite recently. So that's something that we will focus on moving forward. So obviously the benefit for us is, we can get a high valuation for the business because it's doing better. And so everyone wins.
Got it. I see. Now, I may be Captain Obvious here, but are there types of online businesses that just don't cut it, that you can't help? Obviously, somebody that doesn't make money, I guess.
Yeah, good question. What businesses can't we help?
I mean, if someone's not making any money.
Yeah, good point. So any business that's been hit by a Google update, I'm not going to touch.
Okay.
Any business that is bleeding, it's a good question. We actually did have an e-commerce business that is exactly like that. When they came to us, they were doing, I'd say 200 a month in sales, and then over a 6-month period that declined to 70,000, and their gross margins, their net margins were 12%, and so their net profit off their net margins was really skinny. So at 200 in sales, at 12%, they're making 24 grand in gross profit minus expenses, and they had a lot of advertising costs, and they were making 3 or 4 grand a month net. And then at 80 grand, they're making 8 grand a month in gross profit minus costs. They were losing money. So it's, business is declining, which we're not going to play with.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense. How long have you been doing this? How long has this been going in?
So digital exits will officially be 1 year old, in a month. But I've personally been buying and selling internet businesses since 2009.
Got it. Got it. Interesting. And how is it just you yourself, or do you have a large staff, or?
At the moment, it's me and an assistant,
Hmm.
um, and we're bringing on another broker in December,
Uh-huh.
so we'll be at two.
Hmm.
And then the vision with digital exits
Hmm.
is we want to become the brand for buying and selling online businesses and click and mortar style businesses in the world. So
Wow.
uh, w- we are we're pushing for like a traditional like franchise business broker model to
Hmm.
really target like the click and mortar
Hmm.
um, market. And so once we've like controlled the market in the US, we're going
Hmm.
to push overseas, specifically Asia and also Europe.
Cool. That is, I mean, this is really fascinating to me because I don't know of anybody else that's doing this, what you're doing. And the range of your deals is pretty significant, right? What's the range in some of the deals that you've done? From what to
As
what?
in deal value,
Uh-huh.
like 30 grand to $5 million.
Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. That is truly cool. You're starting this company, and one of the things I go around the country all the time speaking to realtors and speaking to entrepreneurs, telling them that they really need to niche down their market. They have to find a target market. And I'm so impressed that this is essentially what you're doing in spades. I mean,
Thank you.
I love it. I love it. But, all of us entrepreneurs, Jock, we all have problems. We all have challenges, bumps in the road. In starting the business or even not starting the business, what has been sort of like the biggest challenge that you faced and how did you overcome it?
It's probably something that they were still having a problem with is finding good quality assets to sell. So good deal flow.
Uh-huh.
Um, it's it's hard to find good sites to or good businesses to sell at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I guess probably that's two things.
Mm-hmm.
That's uh, education
Mm-hmm.
or direct marketing to online business owners and telling them that there is the option to exit.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing is probably positioning. You're still getting a lot of you know the guy in LA that sells bikes online is going
Mm-hmm.
to go to his local LA business broker. So we've probably got a bit of a hill to push up in
Mm-hmm.
terms of like educating the market.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's probably the biggest challenge we're having at the moment, which hasn't been solved, is like customer acquisition.
Uh-huh. Interesting. Interesting. What I mean, I'm sure that you're going to prevail and this is going to be a huge success for you. And we're certainly going to get everybody talking to you for sure. But one of the things I wanted to ask you too was what about multiple, what do they call it? MLMs, multi-level marketing. If someone's making a ton of money with that kind of a business, is that something that you would touch?
No,
No.
uh, not my cup of tea.
Got it. Okay. All right. Good to know. Listen, Jock, I mean, I don't know why, I'm just fascinated. This is the CPA coming out in me, and I think that's to take on the challenge of, putting a value on an online marketing business to me, I find it really fascinating. But I always like to end the interview by asking you one question, Jock. And let's just say you had a brand new entrepreneur. I call them Treps. You had a Trep sitting across from you, across from your desk, and they said, Jock, what is the one or two things that I have to do to really make my business successful? What would you say?
Do they have an existing business or they don't have a business at all?
Well, they're just starting. They're just starting.
Hmm.
What's the most important thing that perfect?
I would buy it. I'm going to throw a spanner in the works. I would buy a business. I want to start one. Um,
I love it.
I'm a big, I'm a big believer in momentum,
Hmm.
and I think that, like, I really like to use a metaphor. It's hard to steer a parked car. So, just an explanation of that. Like, if a car is stationary, you can't steer it. But if a car is moving, you only have to slightly move the steering wheel to get like a massive change in direction.
Hmm.
And I like to see business as that. So you've got an existing
Hmm.
business, and if you make like a slight tweak, you can make a massive change in direction in the business, which is hopefully going to be positive. And I think that, like for a return on investment and for a, you know, I think starting a business is riskier than buying a business personally.
Got it. And you can certainly help people with that, correct?
Well, I can, you know, that it's not that like I'm pitching for my services. It's just that like that's all I've done all my life is bought and sold stuff. Like
Uh-huh.
bought, undervalued, improved, and resold.
And that makes a lot of
So
sense.
like yeah, so I think the uh, like I'm probably inherently lazy, or maybe if you rephrase that, like I like to be efficient,
Hmm.
and acquiring a business is more efficient than starting one. So that's what
That's
I would tell to the person sitting across from me.
I love it. That's great. All right, everybody, you've heard it directly from the horse's mouth. Jock Purtle, I really appreciate you coming here today. We're going to direct a lot of traffic your way. If you're considering buying or selling a business, make sure you hit up his website, digitalexits.com. Jock, thanks a million for joining us today. I really appreciate your time, sir.
No worries, Chris. Was a pleasure. Had fun.
All right, you take care, and we'll definitely follow your future progress. Everybody,
Thank you
thanks
very
so much
much.
for joining us. Jock, you take care. Hey, was that a cool interview or what, man? I love talking to Jack. He really has added a whole new dimension to this whole online business thing because, like I said at the beginning of the show, I was thinking to myself, I don't think that most people out there know, especially if you have an online business, that you can actually value that and sell that. If, like he says, if you plateaued with your sales, if you just got bored, it's no longer your passion, whatever it is, there is an exit strategy that Jock can help you with. So I just absolutely love it. I hope that you enjoyed some of the tidbits that Jock brought us, especially why start a business from scratch when you can buy one. Sort of like that idea. But anyways, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you show us some love down below. I really appreciate it. I would love to get your comments about anything at all, especially about the show, about what Jock is doing. Make sure you hit him up at digitalexits.com. And without further ado, I'm going to wish you guys a great day. Thanks so much for joining us.